The Boy Who Painted Light, a story inspired by the life of Caravaggio. In a little town called Caravaggio, where the fields stretched wide and golden under the Italian sun, a boy named Michelangelo Merisi was born. But no one called him Michelangelo for long. He was simply Caravaggio, named for the town where he took his first breath, the town where he first saw light and shadow dance together. Caravaggio was not a quiet boy. He was full of restless energy, his hands always smudged with charcoal or paint, his eyes always searching. While other children played in the fields, he would sit beneath the eaves of his home, watching the world. He noticed the way the morning sun made the cobbled streets glow like gold, how the market stalls cast deep shadows in the afternoon, and how by evening, candlelight made faces look warm and alive. "You see too much," his mother often told him with a smile, ruffling his dark curls. But she never stopped him from looking. When Caravaggio was still a boy, his father died and everything changed. His mother, knowing that life would be hard without a trade, sent him to Milan to learn painting. He would be an apprentice, sweeping the floors, grinding pigments, stretching canvases, and if he was lucky, learning the art of painting from the great masters. The studio was grand, filled with paintings of kings and saints, soft and beautiful, their faces calm and perfect. But Caravaggio did not want to paint people who looked like statues. He wanted to paint them as they truly were, rough, tired, full of life. His master scolded him. "Paint as the greats do, boy. Beauty must be noble, elegant, ideal." Caravaggio disagreed, but he kept his thoughts to himself. For now, he learned. He mixed colors, he copied the old masters, and he waited. By the time he was a young man, Caravaggio knew he had to leave Milan. He had no money, no famous name, but he had his talent. He walked the long, dusty roads to Rome, a city bursting with art, with churches, with rich patrons who might, if he was lucky, pay him for his work. At first, he painted whatever he could, still lifes, baskets of fruit, flowers, everyday things. But even these, people noticed. His apples looked so ripe you could almost taste them. His grapes were so real that flies landed on the canvas. But Caravaggio did not long to paint fruit. He longed to paint people. One evening, as Caravaggio sat by the candlelight in his small rented room, he held his hand before the flickering flame. He turned it slowly, watching the way the light illuminated one side of his fingers, while the other side disappeared into darkness. "That is how I must paint," he thought. "Not soft and perfect, but real, with light so bright it seems alive and shadows so deep they feel like night." From then on, Caravaggio painted differently. He painted with chiaroscuro, a technique of light and shadow that made his figures leap from the canvas. His saints did not float on clouds. They had dirty feet, tired eyes, hands that looked as if they had worked all day. His Madonnas were not distant and noble, but warm, human mothers holding their children close. Caravaggio's painting caused a stir. Some people loved them. "They look so real," they marveled. Others were horrified. "Too real, too common. Saints should look like saints, not like beggars from the streets." But Caravaggio did not change. He found his models in the market, in the taverns, among the poor and the weary. A fisherman became St. Peter. A street boy became an angel. A woman from the bakery became the Virgin Mary. And always, always he painted light, glorious golden light, shining in the darkness. One of his most famous paintings was of St. Matthew writing the gospel, but Caravaggio did not paint him as a noble scholar. Instead, he painted an old man, hunched over, his brow furrowed in concentration. His hands, rough and strong, gripped the pen. An angel leaned over him, guiding his words, as if whispering them into his ear. It was as if St. Matthew had stepped out of the darkness and into the room, alive. People gasped when they saw it. Some loved it, some hated it, but no one ignored it. Caravaggio's paintings brought him fame, but his fiery temper brought him trouble. He argued often, fought in duels, and even found himself running from the law. Yet no matter how dark his life became, he never stopped painting. Even in exile, even in his most desperate days, his paintings burned with life. He painted David holding the head of Goliath, and some say he painted his own face on Goliath, a man brought low by his own mistakes. He painted John the Baptist, weary and thoughtful. He painted saints and sinners, angels and beggars, all bathed in the same piercing light. Then, one day, Caravaggio disappeared. No one knows exactly what happened to him. Some say he was on his way back to Rome, hoping for a pardon. Others say he fell ill. What is certain is that he was gone. but his paintings remained. Today, if you visit Rome, you can still see Caravaggio's paintings hanging in grand churches and galleries. Step close and you will see them, the deep, velvety shadows, the faces so real they seem to breathe, the golden light that glows like fire. Caravaggio knew something that few others did, that even in the darkest places, light still shines. And if you look closely at his paintings, you might feel it too. The weight of a candle's flicker, the warmth of sunlight on a weathered cheek, the truth that even in shadows, light is never far away. The end.